students of Sierra Vista. Your history teachers are here in our nation's capital having a fabulous time and couldn't help but think of you. So, our job for today is to do two things. One, teach you about the U.S. Constitution, and two, talk about issues of ethics.
As you're answering the questions today, what we'd like you to think about is use your lens, let your lens be character and the Constitution.
And here we are at the White House with our first ethical issue. Should the President of the United States base his decisions on the greater common good or his own ethical responsibility?
Our eighth graders, do you think that the President should make his decisions based on his own ethical beliefs or on what is best for the common good?
Well, I guess I think that inevitably it's a combination of the two. I think that someone's ethical principles that most folks would agree on include principles like honesty, having a conscience, empathy, the founding notions of America, such as equality, equal protection. So I hope that anyone who ascends to the presidency has an ethical background and believes in the founding principles of America, those principles, so that when it comes to making decisions for the country, there's symmetry between their belief in our core principles and the job they have to do.
Thank you. I'm not sure that we'll be as successful with all of our questions throughout the day, so thank you.
So here we are now at the Washington Monument honoring our first president, George Washington. George Washington set a precedent when he served for 8 years as President of the United States. That precedent survived until the election for the 4th time of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So let us ask you this. Do you agree or disagree with the 22nd Amendment, limiting all presidents to 2 terms in the White House?
Hi, we're asking you today if you believe that the president should be allowed to be elected should just be elected 2 terms, like it says under the 22nd Amendment, or if you think that the 22nd Amendment is wrong, and as long as the American people want them, they should be elected as often as we want.
Well, I don't know, kind of like we were just talking about, like, if you like the candidate, yeah, it makes sense that you'd want them for more than 8 years, but I think it's important that we have these systems in place, because if there were to ever be a candidate that's, like, in office that is, like, bad for the American public, you wouldn't want them running for a 3rd term. So I think it's going to be a term limits.
Yes,
Welcome to the brand new African American Museum of History and Culture in Washington, D.C. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to our Constitution were put in to end slavery, to give citizenship rights, and gave African American men the right to vote. These 3 amendments would ultimately lead to the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
During the time that the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were passed, it was Black Americans that were being oppressed in our society. What about today? What are some groups that you think are being oppressed today, and do the 13th, 14th, or 15th Amendments apply to them as well? The 13th and 14th and 15th Amendment, it was Black Americans that are being oppressed. Do you think that's still today, is the same thing true today, or do you feel like it's a different group?
No, I think it's the same group. I think it's just to a different extent. It's not as aggressive and as, I don't know, visual as it used to be, but I think it still goes into the same. It's just phrased different, you know. Everything looks different, but it's the same.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so welcome now to the United States Capitol building. This is where the legislative branch of our government resides. We have terms here. You have both the House and the Senate, and members of the House of Representatives serve terms of 2 years. Members of the Senate serve terms of 6 years. The question would be, should they serve more, or should...
Go. Hi, I'm an American history teacher. Where are you from?
Finland.
Finland. In America, our Congress are allowed to be elected over and over again. There's no term limit. How is it in Finland?
It's the same thing in Finland as well, so there's no term limits for members of parliament.
And do you think that's a good idea, or do you think there should be term limits?
I think that works in Finland. I think that's a good idea because I think people should be allowed to elect the ones that are most qualified for the job, and I don't see that limitation for terms is needed, at least in Finland.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ready? Here we are back at our nation's capital. So what do? They make laws. And we were thinking, your generation, the young people of America, will be most greatly affected by the laws being made. This is the country where you will be growing up and raising your own family. So, out of curiosity, what laws do you think should be made here? Go.
So we're going to be asking our 8th grade students if they could make any sort of law to improve their world. What law would they make? Do you have any ideas about what laws you might make?
Equal ability to get jobs.
So you're concerned about not everybody having equal access to jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
To the United States Supreme Court, our third branch of the United States government, the judicial branch. Here is where the 9 justices make sure that the supreme law of the land is upheld. One of our concerns with the U.S. Supreme Court, what about term limits? Is that an issue? The second idea is, truly, do we have equal justice under the law? The United States 14th Amendment is to guarantee that to all American citizens, regardless of race, creed, color, gender, or preference. Go.
Hi, we're American history teachers from California, and we have a question for you. Do you think that because the Supreme Court does not have term limits, what's your opinion on that? Should they have term limits, or do you like the way it is?
Well, I'm very liberal myself, and there's some studies show that justices, once they're nominated, the longer they're there, they just become more liberal over time. So maybe it's just because they're doing the right thing. That's probably what I would say. I'm a little biased, perhaps. Who knows? Also, like, it depends. I'm not really sure how I feel about this because it's tough. But like Supreme Court justices, I'm surprised no one's tried to assassinate them, honestly, because they don't have any protection, you know? And like they're such a major part. That was not very well.
No, I
versed.
think you did a great job.
The first
Go.
Hi, our students are studying the 14th Amendment, which says that you should have equal protection under the law, regardless of your race, creed, or color. Do you think that's happening in America today?
I think that is the intention, and that's what people will tell you. But I do think that once, like in actual real life circumstances and instances, that's not always the case. As you can see with everything that's happening, especially throughout the South with shootings, police shootings, and riots. I think that is the intention, and people will tell you, yes, we're trying to do that. But in the heat of the moment, or in certain cases, you know, you see search and seizure and people getting pulled over or arrested for, and incarceration rates for certain drug penalties that definitely skews more towards different people groups. So I think ultimately that maybe doesn't quite happen all of the time as it should.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.